Welcome to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be going over all you need to know about the SQE2 exemption, how to apply, who can apply, how much it costs, what you need to apply, all the documents, and everything you need to know about the SQE2 exemption. If you'd like to know more, please keep watching. First off, what is the SQE and what is the SQE2 all about? The SQE is the Solicitor's Qualifying Exam. If you're planning to become a lawyer or to practice as a solicitor in the UK, you need to take two legs of exams: the SQE1, Solicitor's Qualifying Exam 1, and the SQE2, Solicitor's Qualifying Exam 2. The SQE1 focuses largely on functioning legal knowledge, talk about the theories of law, criminal law, civil law, and the main theories of law, whereas SQE2 deals more on advocacy, the actual practice of law, drafting, client interview, and all those skills. For many foreign qualified lawyers, if you've been qualified in another jurisdiction, it's almost always easy to apply for an SQE2 exemption. Why? Because it deals primarily on the skills that a lawyer needs to practice. The SQE2 is not an automatic qualification of becoming a solicitor. You still need to pass the SQE1. You can always apply for the SQE2 exemption before you take the SQE1 or after you take the SQE1. And guess what? You can apply for the SQE2 exemption from anywhere in the world. You heard right. Whether you're in Nigeria, you're in India, you're in Canada, you're in US, you can apply for the SQE2 exemption from anywhere in the world. And your SQE1 result does not impact your SQE2 exemption decision. So if you get exempted from the SQE2 and God forbid you fail the SQE1, there are two separate processes. Failing the SQE1 does not invalidate your SQE2 exemption. Now we move to the common mistakes to avoid. I'm starting with the mistakes first so that when we start to go over the requirements, you know just what to watch out for. The first mistake is incomplete applications. Please do not submit any incomplete application. Ensure that all the different aspects of the forms are completely filled. Go over it again and again. It takes 180 days for a decision to be made. You don't want to wait for 180 days to find out that your application was not completed and as a result, it was rejected. Secondly, ensure that your references are properly detailed. Focus on quality, not quantity. You don't need to have 10 references, but you can have one very good reference that details just what the SRA is looking for. Finally, review all your documents properly. Ensure that you have all of the necessary documents. Always remember, quality over quantity. Is not the number of documents that matter, but the quality of each document. Now, what are the main eligibility requirements before you can apply for the SQE2 exemption? The first thing is that your practice rights are equivalent to the rights of a solicitor in England and Wales. Secondly, you must have at least 2 years professional qualification experience. Emphasis on at least 2 years. It could be more, but not less. Another thing, post-qualification experience, not pre-qualification experience. Your internships before you got qualified as a lawyer, they do not count. The documents that you require to apply for exemption depends on the jurisdiction that you're applying from. For most common law jurisdiction, there's already an agreed exemption with your jurisdiction. So check out the link in the description below to check the SRA website to know what documents are required in your jurisdiction. In this video, we are going to be using Nigeria and India as a case study. The first document that you need in Nigeria or India is a certificate evidencing your qualification. In other words, your call to bar certificate. The second document that you need is a reference providing at least 2 years post-qualification experience working as a Nigerian barrister or solicitor. Now, here's the part where you need to listen very carefully. So if you have the luxury of more than 2 years experience, pick the best experience that works best for you. Pick the person who is able to give you the fantastic or the best reference and go ahead and use that reference. You could always reference that you spent more than 10 years working with the person, but just note what you need is at least 2 years work experience. What if you didn't work in a law firm and you worked in some other organization, or you spent the entire 2 years working as a self-employed lawyer? What you then need is a mentor or a supervisor who can confirm that your post-qualification experience meets the standard criteria that the SRA is looking out for. Reference can be more than one reference, but also note that if you have more than one referee, you then need more documents to submit. So if you're using one referee, you would also need to submit their own proof of qualification, which is their call to bar certificate. And you would need a letter of good standing. I have a video where I talk about how to apply for the letter of good standing from the Supreme Court of Nigeria. For India, I do not have that video up yet. But then for Nigeria, you would need a certificate of letter of good standing for yourself and for your referee. So altogether, we're going to go over the documents again. You need your call to bearer certificate. You need a reference letter that details the quality of work that meets the SRA standard. And then you need your letter of good standing and the letter of good standing for your referee. Another juicy question, which I'm sure you're here for, is how much does this process cost? It costs £265 as at the date of filming this video in 2026. If your country is not on the jurisdiction list on the SRA website, please listen carefully. It's not completely exempt. It just means that your jurisdiction has not agreed with the SRA on what is required to be exempted for the SQE2. You can still apply for an exemption, but this time around, you'll be applying under the term called individual exemption. You would then need to prove that your practice or your post-qualification experience matches the 5 criteria. So it is people who are applying under the individual exemption category that needs to prove all 5 practice areas. I'm going to list out all the 5 practice areas on the screen so you can see just the areas that you need to prove that your experience meets just before you apply for the exemption. You can apply for the SQE2 from anywhere. You can apply for the SQE2 without being in the UK. You can apply for the SQE2 without having taken the SQE1. The SQE2 exemption, if granted, has no expiry date. A final big caveat that I must also point out is you cannot apply for the SQE2 exemption if you've already failed the SQE2 exam. So best bet is to apply for the SQE2 exemption before you apply for the exam or before you sit the exam. I am not an agent. I do not work for the SRA. I'm just here to help you along in your SQE journey and help you demystify all the nitty-gritty areas that often look difficult to people. I hope this video helped you. If it did help you, please do me a favor by hitting the subscribe button, liking this video, and sharing it with anybody that you know who is about to undertake their own SQE journey. Bye for now and see you in the next video.